This is BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store. Simulcast on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now live from Studio C, it's Spencer Linton and Jarom Jordan.
BYU Sports Nation is live, your day-to-day play-by-play back in Studio C, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Wednesday, July 27th, wherever and however you're connected. Great to have you with us. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside a man who gets ready for this show with some real hard-nosed heavy metal, Jarom Jordan.
Last night I went to Goo Goo Dolls, and the bass guitar player looked just like Tim Lacombe, like spitting image. It was shocking. With purple long hair. I thought, has Tim grown out his hair?
Shout out to the former assistant basketball coach at BYU.
I didn't know Tim played with the Goo Goo Dolls. That's cool.
I didn't know Goo Goo Dolls was considered heavy metal either.
It's not. But Kingsley Suamataia, he works out with heavy metal. This picture came out from BYU football.
Yeah.
Where he is literally headed to Dante's Inferno, chained up to do, some body pull-ups or something. Like, this is an unbelievable photo. Also, he is a massive human being.
Yeah,
he's like 6'6", 325 or something. Like,
those are next level
huge
tricep dips. Just you're racked in chains. I mean, that is
like if I'm teaching Sunday school and I'm talking about like Satan's influence on your life, it's like that's the image I want out there. Like, holy shnikey.
Kingsley's overcoming it.
He's overcoming.
Yes.
The chains of sin.
Now that is heavy metal. Quite literally.
Literally, yeah, exactly.
That is heavy metal. I wonder if he was listening to Goo Goo Dolls while he was doing those.
Definitely not. He's not listening to Black Balloon, I'll tell you that. Or Slide. Iris.
Iris.
It's like, that's hitting the spot.
Nothing gets you going, gets you ready for a game and a big workout like Iris.
Goo Goo Dolls, huge with Polynesians.
Oh. There may or may not be more Goo Goo Dolls references in today's show lineup. What I can guarantee is that we are discussing which matters more in the new Big 12 grant of media rights deal. Is it money or is it network? Do you care more about the channel and when you get to watch the game, or is it just strictly a money race? And, well, as long as the Big 12 makes more money than the Pac-12, that's what matters most. You tell us. Craig Bolerjack has worked from coast to coast calling college football. He's now the voice of the Utah Jazz on TV. He will tell us what matters most to television networks. And he's a guy that played for Kansas State. He understands the Big 12. He will join us live. Not to mention Johnny Linehan. Why do we have Johnny Linehan on today? Because we are discussing two different BYU players, one on the Lou Groza Award watch list, the other on the Ray Guy Award watch list. It is quite the kicking tandem. Is it the best kicking tandem in all of college football? Johnny Linehan will tell us if BYU currently has that. Bring on today's BYU Sports Nation headlines.
Jake Oldroyd is on the Lou Groza Award watch list for best kicker in the country, and Ryan Rehkow, the best player on BYU's football team, is on the Ray Guy Award watch list for best punter. The Cougars are lucky to have this combo for a third straight season.
More on that in just a bit. Taysom Hill will play some quarterback this season, according to New Orleans Saints head coach Dennis Allen. That reported by Locked On Saints reporter Ross Jackson. To quote the coach, he said, "I think he's going to provide multiple roles for us. There will be a lot of working with the tight end grouping, but yet, he'll take some snaps from the quarterback position," end quote. This is nothing new for Taysom Hill. He's just now moving back into the role that made him famous in the NFL of the Swiss Army knife.
Yes, they did sign Andy Dalton in the offseason, so they're not going to run him regularly at QB, which is disappointing, right, for BYU fans. But obviously he's going to be used as effectively as possible. Jim Fredette scores 21 points. It's the game-winning shot as the money team beat the men of Mackey 92-75. Take that, Purdue. Fredette plays again tonight against the Red Scare at 7 Eastern in the Dayton Regional Final, which is also the round of 16 on ESPN2.
The Red Scare are the University of Dayton's compilation.
Oh, it's
team.
A road game now.
So this becomes, essentially a road game of
in
sorts.
The first 4 locations.
And how about the social media love that Jimmer Fredette gets? I mean, everybody, ESPN, the basketball tournament, obviously, Sports Illustrated, Barstool Sports, they're all tweeting about Jimmer.
They're like, oh, yeah, that guy.
He's still around.
He's still going, man.
The NCAA Division I Competition Oversight Committee agrees in principle to expand a tournament. It's the men's volleyball tournament from 7 to 12 teams. If approved, this would begin in 2024.
Big fan of this, and I'll explain why later in the program. It's a move they needed to make.
To go all the way to 12.
Yes. It's perfect. I'll tell you why later.
All right. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
What's Trending, presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. I just brought it up. Which matters more to you when you're thinking about a new television deal for your beloved BYU Cougars and the Big 12 Conference? Is it about access to those teams, specifically the channels that those games will be presented on, Fox, ESPN? Or has it become more about, well, what will they pay my beloved school and the Big 12 Conference? Is it more than the Pac-12? That's what matters most. What do you think, Jarom? What's more important to you? Which channels you can watch BYU games on, or is it all about the Benjamins?
Well, let's talk through this. So obviously the access to see the games matters to BYU fans. Big fan base, national, world fan base, which is awesome. We know that. We've seen it. We love it. But also, if BYU can get, more TV money, obviously, than it's been getting, they will. It's just whether it's like 3 times as much or like 8 times as much or whatever in that range. Does that mean BYU can hang in the arms race more, and will they get better talent, which means better product on the field? Do we equate the TV contract with success on the field in that way? If you're Maryland and Rutgers, it doesn't really matter. Like, that doesn't translate in the same way that maybe we think BYU would. I think BYU can get better talent if it has more TV money. Granted, everyone in the league is going to get that amount starting in 2025. A reminder of the existing deal, BYU will get about half in the first 2 years, and then they will have a new TV contract that kicks in 25. They will have a full share.
And the current deal right now is $42 million per year per school. So BYU is expecting $20-ish million for the first 2 years.
Which we anticipate that's 3 or 4 times what BYU's been getting. Something like that. It might just be twice.
An upgrade, no doubt about it.
Upgrade for sure. I think it's the money, I think. And I think it's probably both, because I believe that the traditional linear channels like an ESPN, a Fox, or a CBS will be the ones that have the biggest bid anyway. I don't see Amazon Prime or Netflix or Apple TV Plus coming in from the upper ropes with a deal that's like bigger. I just don't necessarily see that in the future for the Big 12 per se. And we're talking primarily about primary and secondary rights.
Yes.
Meaning first rights, second rights. BYU TV, we've traditionally been a tertiary or third rights holder. We'll do the games that the first and second pass on, if you will. In men's basketball for the WCC, it's ESPN, it's CBS Sports, and then it's BYU TV. So that's a little peek behind the curtain. I think it's the money, because I think it's probably those traditional channels anyway. If I told you the Big 12 signed a primary deal with CBS and CBS Sports, and subsequently Paramount Plus, its streaming provider, I'm not bugged that much. I can watch the games in 2022 pretty easily.
You can find them much more easily than when BYU opted for the Mountain and Versus back in 2006, right? It's not going to be difficult to find the game. You're not going to have Kirk Herbstreit on ESPN College Game Day saying, now it's going to take you a little bit to find the game,
like mocking the
but it should be a good game. Yeah, those days are gone. And with the streaming rights, I could see a deal where Amazon or Google or whatever comes in and they do like a Thursday night game, or like not your typical Saturday game where they're just trying to like isolate an audience on the uncommon weeknight, a Thursday night, Friday night situation. So I could see them getting involved with a new deal that way, but I'm with you. It's going to be Fox. It's going to be ESPN. It'll be CBS. And I think it's going to be, as far as the Big 12 goes, similar money. And I'm not the only one. Baylor's athletic director, Mack Rhoades, feels very confident that even with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, that the new Big 12, with the 4 teams coming in, will have at least the $42 million per year that will match what they're making right now.
That feels crazy to me.
Which is, whoa, right?
That feels crazy.
You want to talk about like coming off the top rope?
Yes.
Like here comes Baylor's AD off the top rope with that number, right?
Why would it stay the same with the 2 biggest brands gone? Like, that doesn't make any logistical sense.
Well, is it just because of inflation and because things are becoming more expensive? Like,
perhaps.
Because if Texas and Oklahoma State, if they're already at $42 million, those brands are worth more. The television rights are getting bigger and bigger. Maybe it would have been $60 million per year. Yeah, who knows?
42 would be amazing. And yeah, trust me.
So to answer your question, yeah, I'm talking all about money. To me, yeah, it's more about the money because
it's going to be easy to find the channel.
Yeah, the channels are not going to be different.
Yes, and also, like, if you're a little older and you're not using streaming services traditionally, you know, get someone to help you find it because it's not terribly difficult. You can find it. It's out there, right? And part of the BYU audience is, you know, wanting to make sure they can find the game in that way. It's going to be all right either way. BYU's about to get paid, dog. Back the Brinks truck up because BYU's going to get paid either way. Now, it's a new paradigm too, right? Because, like, these schools are like, well, you could be making $100 million a year per team. Like if you were in the Big Ten or the SEC, BYU's not going to be in those.
BYU's coming from a position where they weren't even close to half of what the Big 12 is making this year, right? BYU jumping to $21 million per year.
We think BYU's in the 8 to 12 range. It's not
and that's not confirmed. They don't have to reveal that information.
They don't have to. Yeah, we think BYU's in that range, right?
We think they're at least doubling what they're used to.
They might quadruple. Like, so what does this mean? This means you can keep up in the arms race somewhat with facilities. And what BYU does unique from a business standpoint is they don't actually build stuff until they have that money. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, no, we know we're going to get it, we'll start building it.
No, they raise the money, and then they raise money to take care of the building for like 10 years in perpetuity.
Well, in perpetuity means forever. Like, yes. So that's what they did with the annex, and you know, it took a minute to get all that money. But listen, BYU's got money. Like, let's not act like they don't. They bought Y Mountain, they bought Provo High. Mm-hmm. They're building a new HVAC, Harris Fine Arts Center. There's another building that's similar to the HVAC that's almost done under construction. BYU's got money.
Yes,
it's not an issue. Like, the arms race is interesting because I do wish BYU would have a little more high-end. BYU does have good stuff and high-end stuff. I want it all high-end because if this is really what we think it is relative to sort of messaging for the church and what the PR of, like, who BYU is, why not field the best possible team you can with incredible NIL deals out there in the amazing Utah County, continue to build the facilities up there, get the best talent who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and other great fits, of which there are many. And now you are this huge brand that we all love and adore with BYU, where you really make an impact, not only in the Big 12, but in the country, and you positively affect people in this community and elsewhere. Now you're talking, but it takes dollar bills.
Yes, and it's not a fast process at BYU. You brought up
it can be
Provo High School. Maybe it's a faster process with the Big 12 financial bump. We think it will be. Yeah. You brought up the Provo High School property. I feel like that's the sleeping giant.
What are they going to do?
I feel like that is the sleeping giant. Yes, if you want to, like, upgrade athletics facilities and, like, build new stuff, that's where you do it.
Like,
it's across the street from the indoor practice facility.
Like the science department's like, no, we want it.
I feel like that's the sleeping giant for athletics, is the Provo High School property.
What if they just use it as is?
Who knows?
They played a spring football game over there before.
And you want to know what I mean?
On the football field. It's a nice turf field.
To answer the question, petty BYU fan, and there are many when it comes to comparing BYU to rivals, specifically Utah.
And rival conferences. There is a rival conference.
Yeah.
The Pac-12
it's become the rival conference.
Yes.
It's become about, well, as long as the Big 12 makes more money per school than the Pac-12 is making per school.
What do we need?
Then we're good.
What do we need? $1?
Then we're good.
Do we need $1 million more?
We make more money per school in our conference than you guys. Like, that's what it's become.
I wonder what that's going to look like. Because we're going to know the Pac-12 TV deal here in the next month.
Listen, just seek out the West Virginia bloggers. They'll tell you everything you need to know about the new Pac-12 deal.
Everything.
They know everything.
Said no one.
It's been reported by the West Virginia bloggers, $24.5 million per school, upwards of to 30 to 35. Those guys, right? They know.
That number is going to be lower than you want it to be, but it's compared to others. But it's
right. No, I'm sorry. I'm saying they're talking about the Pac-12.
Oh, like, right.
So if Mac Rhodes is right, Baylor's AD, then Big 12, yeah.
I hope it's that big. I'd be surprised.
We'll see.
Certainly Mac knows more than I do about the subject, but that would be a big chunk, man.
Our question of the day: which is more important to you? The channels you can watch games of your favorite college football team on, or how much money your school is making from their current television deal and why. Let's go to Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
At @NCrowley19 answers on Twitter, for sure what channel I watch it on. I have full confidence in the money management of the athletic program. They operate in the black, speaking of BYU, as they say. However, me trying to find a way to get to ESPNU or ESPN3 or the Pac-12 network.
You won't have to worry about that one.
Yeah, extremely frustrating. Colton Hammer on Twitter says
Pac-12 network's going to go away in the new TV
Oh, absolutely.
deal, you would think.
They're done. Larry Scott's vision, and he drove that thing into the ground.
It didn't work. Yeah.
Colton Hammer on Twitter says, hard to say. It's nice to be broadcast on the most watched channels, but if that boost in money is giving BYU even more resources that is resulting in more wins, I'll take that money all day, every day.
Quick thought, if it is on a streaming service that is less viewable, are we not back in the versus Mountain situation with more money? Because we cared about visibility.
At least you can sign up for said streaming service and watch it in high definition.
We were very concerned about access and visibility. Would that not be the same
No,
thing?
access is there, right? You got to pay $4.99, whatever. At least you can stream it in 1080i and not 120 pixels.
People could have streamed, but were frustrated by the inability to get access.
No, people that had Dish Network couldn't even get it.
Yeah.
Like this isn't about TV products, it's about internet. Yeah. So I think it's a little different.
But does everyone have the internet? We'll discuss coming up. Which BYU Big 12 athletic director feels like this deal, as you mentioned? We'll discuss more about what Mack Rhodes from Baylor said.
And Craig Bolerjack, the voice of the Utah Jazz, and a guy who is very close to college football. He's called at the highest level. He's going to talk about what matters most in these deals. He joins us next on BYU Sports Nation.
Professor Rock here.
The Food Nanny.
Chandler Scott here.
Samry.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
I just want to tell you about this amazing,
Excellent.
Cool account called My Style.
My Style checking. I'm talking travel points.
Gift card. Concert tickets.
All just for using my account.
That's My Style.
So check it out.
Give it a shot.
Open your My Style checking account today.
I know what it's like to be overlooked, to be doubted, to fly under the radar. I only had one offer coming out of high school, but I was ready for every moment, every opportunity, and every shot that I got. Now I'm playing professional basketball, aiming to be one of the best shooters on the planet. And I'm just getting started. Be ready for your moment with Rapid Reboot, the future of rapid recovery.
There's nothing quite like doing a live sketch.
Having the audience nearby is really, really neat.
To just be able to connect with them and hopefully make their day better.
When you are doing a sketch and you hear your first laugh, it's just like, here we go, let's go for it.
I mean, one of the most rewarding things is having people saying, I struggle with this and this, and you guys are able to make me laugh at it and realize, I'm not the only person going through those things.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Cougar Canyon going to be rocking for the Baylor game, the home opener. Join us Friday for the final BYUSN special of the summer. BYU football performing in a pandemic, looking back at the amazing 2020 season. Friday at noon Eastern on BYU TV and BYU Radio.
We are live in Studio C with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside Jarom Jordan. It is our pleasure now to welcome in for his BYU Sports Nation debut.
Really?
The current voice of the Utah Jazz and a man who has called 10 years worth of BYU football games. Frankly, and from a personal standpoint, he is a big reason why I even got into this business. Craig Bolerjack is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Craig, it's great to have you on the show.
Spencer, Jarom, great to have the opportunity. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
We promised no Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert questions. Is that cool?
I don't know much. I wish I could break news right now on BYU Nation, but you know what? I think things will work itself out sooner than later. That's for sure.
Now, as a former linebacker at Kansas State, Big 12 guy, and I mentioned you've called so many college football games, not just BYU. I mean, you worked extensively in the SEC. You've been to the biggest venues and called just massive college football games. You have a unique perspective about what television rights and television deals mean at the highest levels of college football. So what makes a certain school, university, or team attractive to those high-end television partners that essentially are causing these huge, huge numbers to be put out in the new TV deals?
Spencer, it really comes down to the fan base, in my opinion. The 13 years I was at CBS and I called, doubleheader day on Saturdays in the SEC. I do the early game and Vern Lundquist would do the late game. But it was all about the fan base, the eyes on the game. And I think that's where BYU comes in to play. Look, independence was one thing, and ESPN knew that it was beyond just Provo, Utah. It was the church, obviously, is worldwide, but also West Coast, East Coast, middle of the country. That's where BYU value lies, is with the eyes on the product. And I think that's, the same with Notre Dame, why NBC had the exclusivity with Notre Dame as well. So it's fan base. It's also TV ratings and how much they can charge for a commercial, and also the metro areas. Now, look, Provo, Utah is still surrounded by Salt Lake City. It's all become one, kind of like Dallas-Fort Worth, right? So the whole Valley corridor, has its eyes on BYU, and yes, up on the hill at Utah. I mean, they've got their eyes as well. But it really comes down to basically, I think, who's going to watch. And the other big part, I think, too, Jarom and Spencer, is the time frame. Where do you fit in the block of television on the day-to-day Saturday, Thursday night, Friday night football? Can you do a West Coast game in prime time? Absolutely. BYU fits it perfectly and always has for ESPN. And the same will hold true, I think, when they hit Big 12, because they're going to fit that middle time zone or late time zone, whichever they want to put them in. And the same will hold true with Utah if the Pac-12 survives, or if Big 12 comes searching, because, again, it puts them in a time slot that will benefit them from that 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. window when they go triple or quadruple header day on ESPN or ABC.
And we've certainly seen a lot of those. Some fans don't like that, right? Hey, an 8:26 local kick, 10:26 Eastern, which technically it's only primetime for like 34 minutes over there. But it's about being national. It's about being visible, and that means dollars, right? You mentioned the Pac-12 and the Big 12. What do you think of what's going on right now, where we're waiting to see what happens with the Pac-12? Or Pac-10 in a couple years. They look like they're going to stay together. That TV deal that they're negotiating currently will tell us everything.
It will. I read this morning, I think it was Dennis Dodd, who said something about, again, the Big Ten may still pickpocket a few teams out of the Pac-12. Mostly they're looking at Cal. Look, not a great football program, but again, it's eyes. It's the California market. Yeah. Oregon has great history. Washington as well. It's the Northwest, and there's eyes on those two programs as well. Don't know if that would probably break the Pac-12, to be honest. Utah would be out looking, and I think Utah obviously is a team, a school that will land, I think, on its feet, whether that's Big 12. I think that's where they probably have to go, is Big 12, if the Big 10 has already kind of said, nah, not interested. So what I like about if Utah does go Big 12 is you have rivalry. And I'd say one thing, guys, that I think the chancellors, the presidents all forget. I get the money. I get it. But the bottom line to football, from my eyes and what I have seen in my days at ESPN, Fox, and CBS, is that the conferences are built on those rivalries. You cannot manufacture a rivalry game. It has to happen over years. It has to happen with big plays like we just saw with Utah and BYU. It has to play into coaches and relationships, Ronnie McBride and Lavelle Edwards back in the day. It takes time to build these rivalries, and I hope that schools understand that, the money's one thing, but you still have to deliver for the fan, and the fan likes the rivalry. Rivalry weekend is there for a reason, and I think you're losing that now when you see the Pac-12 being dissected, and that concerns me. Look, if you look at the SEC, the games I called were multiple Bama, Auburn, all right? I saw LSU, Bama. I saw Florida, and a ton of Florida, and the Gators when they were in their prime with Spurrier as their head coach, and LSU as well. That you cannot replicate. So my point is, when Oklahoma and Texas, who were the powerhouses of the Big 12, depart in 24 to the SEC, I hope they'll understand that they will be minimal players in a title run or a conference championship for years, because it's owned by Bama, it's owned by Auburn. And that's Tennessee. When I did games when Peyton Manning played, they were at the top of the heap at that particular time, but just for a short time. So my point is, hey, OU, hey, Texas, you were powerful teams during your tenure with the Big 12, but watch out. The SEC is crowded, and it's going to be difficult to split those recruiting, top five, those five-star athletes, because a guy named Nick Saban has just an incredible way of grabbing the best of the best.
He is an elite play-by-play man. Craig Bolerjack, the current voice of the Utah Jazz on television, called high-level college football for decades. Kind enough to join us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's talk about the new Big 12, Craig, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving for the SEC, as you just documented, and where they fit in over there. Mack Rhodes, the athletic director at Baylor, feels like, hey, with BYU coming in and these other three teams from the American, we feel like as a conference we're going to be right back where we were collectively, getting as much money in our new TV deal as we are currently right now, which is about $42 million per year. Is that about inflation, or is it that more about the value that these new four teams are going to bring in? Because the idea that per school annual revenue would remain the same even without Texas and Oklahoma is certainly an eye-opener. Are you buying into that?
There's always a way to sell the product, right, or to make it look good, or build your conference up. But you know what? Football has a following, and it's another religion, in my opinion, guys. I mean, I witnessed it in the SEC when you see, and look how BYU travels around the country and shows up in stadiums on any given Friday or Saturday. I think everyone's going to try to inflate their value to make them look inviting in case they want to go out and bring another team into the mix. It really depends on what comes over the next couple of years. And I think, network television can only do so much with advertising and can only dictate so much in the ratings. But the streaming services, in my opinion, are going to play a big factor. They already have, by the way, Amazon and the NFL on Thursday night. Look, Al Michaels, one of the best of the best, and, they pickpocketed him away, and that's going to be an interesting experiment to see if the streaming services can actually survive. Yahoo, Hulu, who am I missing? Fobu. Is it Fubu or Fobu? Sorry.
Fubu are the clothes. Yeah.
Okay. YouTube. Guys, I really think, the networks may get squeezed out, and they're making their last stand right now to make these mega conferences and to own it. It's going to take millions. The NBA is into billions, and college football is popular, but they got to be careful. Don't break the success, how you got there. And, my biggest concern, though, and the fans will dictate this, Spencer and Jarom, is the fact that if they're not into the schedule, and if they've lost the rivalry, I'm not sure how long that those teams or those schools will stay that interested in the schedule. BYU, you guys know, being independent for so long, when I call BYU games, you could circle the games you wanted to see. Utah State, San Diego State, right? Air Force was an incredible battle each and every year. But then when BYU went independent, they lost a ton of those rivalry games. And so who wanted to see Western Kentucky in November, right, on a cold night in November when ESPN put them in prime time? But it wasn't the best game, and the stands kind of showed that at times. So be careful for what you wish, in my opinion. I think it's a dangerous time in college football. It's interesting. It's intriguing, yes. But, boy, I'd say when you start breaking up, conferences that have longevity, success, and terrific programs, and the rivalries that the fans pay dearly for on a yearly basis to get those tickets. I know the network money sounds good, but it still comes back down to putting seats, those fans in the seats. And I'm anxious to see how fans react to all this.
Yeah, certainly. Rutgers UCLA might not be a big ratings boost.
No. On paper you go, hey, I got a ticket, right? But it's not the one that's going to, really put a lot of eyes. And honestly, I think Spencer and Jarom is the bottom line is that will be the calling card. I mean, they'll sell tickets, but who comes? Does it intrigue you in November? Does it have an impact on a conference standing or a conference championship, or I think or a division championship where you get a chance to play for the SEC title, right? Which then leads you into a potential national championship. What happens to the Rose Bowl if the Pac-12 goes away? I mean, Keith Jackson said it best, in my Keith Jackson impersonation, the granddaddy of them all, and what happens? What happens to those the legacy of college football if the Pac-12 and the Rose Bowl's impact goes away? Again, it goes back to that statement we had earlier was be careful what you wish for. The money looks good in the bank, but in reality, what are you giving up to basically cash those checks? And it could catch up with you, in my opinion.
Yeah, some thought-provoking questions brought to us by an elite play-by-play man, Craig Bolerjack on BYU Sports Nation. Craig, we thank you for the time. And who knows, maybe the Utes and Cougars are back in the same Power 5 conference at some point. That would be fantastic.
I'll be honest. I think it'd be great, personally. I miss the rivalry. And look, there's always that edgy edge with BYU and Utah, the team on the hill or that team down south. That's what it's about. It's about having those rivalries intact. And you know what? I'll be honest. I know you got to go, but Kansas City brought in their a group of people about 6 months ago to understand more about BYU, and I had a chance to talk to them, their Chamber of Commerce. And they were so excited to have a chance to come to Salt Lake and Provo. And I think that they were so sold, and at that time unknowing about the football legacy here with the Cougars and the stadium and the backdrop of the mountains. And I hope that Utah can be a part of that if the Pac-12 dissolves, because not only do you still have the time frame, but you also have a built-in rivalry that is for real. It's not manufactured. If that happens, I think it's a win-win situation for the schools and the fan base.
You can follow him on Twitter at BuckleUpBowler. Craig, thanks for the time. Great to have you.
My pleasure, guys. Take care. Next time we'll talk Mitchell, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
You got it. Thanks, Craig. He brings up some great points.
Yes, and the last part about Kansas City is interesting. So Kansas City hosts the men and women's basketball tournaments. That's why they are particularly interested in one of the new guys, right? Or gals in this case. I'm excited to, be in Kansas City for those tournaments and see what that's like. Obviously, there's church history there as well. a lot of BYU fans will enjoy the trip to Kansas City.
That is big time. Big 12 tournament weekend in March.
That'll be fun.
That's big time.
Okay, coming up, Jonny Linehan on Jake Oldroyd and Ryan Rehkow.
And how does BYU as a football unit need to respond to the Notre Dame jersey unveil for the Shamrock Series? Because it was epic. Like a full-on film, 4-minute film. This is BYU Sports Nation.
With tan is the answer.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork sells Ford vehicles including the F-150, the pickup designed for work and play. Tim Daly Ford maintains a large inventory, providing more choices for selecting an F-150 with the power and engineering to carry and tow heavy loads. The F-150's design offers comfort, safety, and a range of options to choose from. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
Summer is back, and that means BYU TV's Super Girls of Summer are too. And they're more super than ever. Brave, persistent, bold, and heroic. Be there for all the fun, the action, and the reactions.
Figured out how to make your world a better place.
I totally feel like Superwoman.
Watch the Super Girls of Summer all season long on BYU TV or on the free app.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Interact with BYU Sports Nation on the social media, on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the YouTube and the TikTok. Nothing makes you sound older than just adding the unnecessarily.
The Facebook.
Yeah. Hey, I was on the Facebook, and now I'm 80.
I was noticing some funny things on the TikTok. He is the Jarom. I am the Spencer.
Yeah.
Let's whip it. The Cougar Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
It was mentioned earlier, but let's go back to it. Regarding the yet-to-be-negotiated Big 12 TV deal starting in 2025, probably negotiated next summer, Fiddler Athletic Director Mac Rhodes tells 365 Sports he is really, quote, really optimistic we, Big 12, will be at the same level in terms of last season of the Big 12 contract or better. It was $42.6 million. Is that a bit optimistic to you?
Yes and no, and I alluded to it in the opening segment, but I feel like just because the world is inflating financially, like how much is $42.6 million per team worth when they get to that new TV deal in 2025? Is it more like $35 million or more like $32 million? How much is inflation impacting this? So it's nice to think about right now, like, in 2022, $42.6 million per team, that's going to stay the same when the new Big 12 is all in place. Great, yeah. But there's inflation, right? So maybe it's not worth as much as the actual number that we're looking at.
Feels like that'd be a really high inflation. I also wonder how long they want that TV deal to be and what that looks like, because guess what? We're going to know in the next couple months or year, obviously, what the Pac-12 looks like or not, so that maybe that you may add value from other big profile.
John Wilner told us that we should know by the start of the college football season, have a good idea of what that deal is going to be for the Pac-12.
August 4th is the end of the primary negotiations with ESPN and Fox as the current right holder.
How about this video of Atiki Aliatiki as we move from football TV deals to the hardcourt in basketball? He's slapping the top of the backboard.
David Thompson, is that you?
It's like 12 feet. On a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed are you?
Why isn't 1 to 12? David Thompson, by the way, They said that he would leave $1 up there and take 4 quarters down from the top of the backboard. How impressed am I? Very. It's more impressive if he like touches it and dunks it than Dwight Howard do that or something. But like, that's crazy athletic. I'm excited to see his development. Obviously, super raw, just played a couple years, but he's going to be a big player on this team this year at center.
Well, they've doubled down because their roster is set.
He's literally the only 5 on the team.
He's the 5. He's the
only
center,
one.
right?
No pressure.
Man, it's hard for me not to say 12, right? Because it's a 12-foot jump. I'm very impressed, but mostly I hope that just means rim protection and a ton of block shots.
Don't act like you're not impressed. A video of a dude kicking targets is making the rounds, and some people think it's Fred Warner. In fact, Cobb Minoy tweeted, "Fred Warner, tell him stop." It definitely looks like him, but it's not. Or is it?
Oh, Fred's bigger than that guy, for sure. Not saying Fred isn't as athletic as that guy.
He's got the same hairdo.
But that is next level training. That takes years of training to be able to do that stuff.
I think Fred could do this next summer. Fred, let's go. Let's go, baby. It's definitely not Fred, but that's hilarious.
It's not Fred.
Unbelievable kick is true.
It's fun to think about it. That's not Fred.
It's not Fred.
Fred got married. You know, he's relaxing on the beach somewhere before training camp.
Fred ain't kicking.
I guess they're back in training camp now. But
he was kicking it, not kicking the target.
Exactly. Notre Dame revealed they will be wearing white with gold trim uniforms for their Shamrock Series game in Las Vegas against BYU, and did so with a remake video from the movie The Hangover. So which
not often seen by this audience.
Which Vegas-based, hey, it's edited on TNT. Which Vegas-based movie should BYU spoof to reveal their uniform combo?
This audience loves the Ocean movies, specifically Ocean 11.
Ocean's 11?
Where they talk about the Mormon twins.
Yeah, there are natural ties there.
And Scott Kahn's character, Turk Malloy, asks, Sal Bloom, have you ever been to Provo? What if Tom Homo asked Jack Swarbrick,
the AD of Notre Dame,
have you ever been to Provo? Could you not play the game here? That'd be funny.
Have you ever been to Provo?
Serious question, though. What uni should BYU wear? Like, they got to wear blue, right? They got to wear blue.
Absolutely. It's just a question of, is it the
royal
all-navy? Is it the all-royal?
Is it a mix? Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, all royal and then the white with royal helmets. I don't know. Maybe they have something special.
I love all those combos. I don't really care.
Like,
I think all tan with blue. Just kidding. Remember on April Fool's who put out the tan jersey? Actually looked all right.
Now, knowing Billy Nixon and the cohort over there, I feel like they've got something special up there.
The Coven.
Based on what has happened here at Notre Dame, BYU's going to do something special.
Why wouldn't you for Notre Dame? Absolutely.
It's going to be cool.
They do special stuff for Utah Tech.
It's going to be cool.
Like, we're going to be good.
Special helmet. I don't know. They're going to do something cool, though.
Ooh, special helmet.
Maybe.
Okay, coming up, today's Rise and Shadow.
And one of the great specialists at BYU is discussing more great specialists currently at BYU. Johnny Linehan joins us next. Is Ryan Rehkow, is he the guy?
You know what I think.
Is he the Ray Guy Award winner?
You know what I think.
It's BYU Sports Nation.
Quick crack. Wash all you want. Don't drive dirty.
Hi, Spencer Linton here, letting you know when your company joins the BYU team as a corporate partner, your brand can be featured in sports programming on BYU TV and BYU Radio. In addition to all of the great games, you can be part of the BYU coaches shows, place your message in Countdown to Kickoff, basketball pre- and post-game shows, and each weekday on BYU Sports Nation. We invite your team to join ours and become a corporate sponsor of BYU Athletics. For details, email sponsorship@byu.edu today.
My name is Spencer Finnegan. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. During my sophomore year, I got married to my sweetheart, Mary, and there's tons of unexpected expenses when it comes to marriage. We were looking for scholarships. I found the replenishment grant, and my local alumni chapter gave me a grant to help me focus in on school. I'm so excited to, now that I've graduated, give back to those students that are coming to BYU in the future.
Somebody, how's it going?
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Do you like punches and fumbles and recoveries and touchdowns and stuff? It's not rhetorical, do you?
I do like it.
Oh, that's great. Run into History, featuring Tyler Allgeier's amazing 2021 season, is now on demand from After Further Review's season premiere last night on the BYU TV app.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. We are live in Studio C with our second guest of the day. As promised, we are discussing specialists with a former kicking specialist at BYU, none other than Johnny Linehan, back on the program.
What's up,
Johnny,
bro?
great to have you with us.
Hey, how's it going? Great to be back.
It's been a minute. We have a gift for you.
Yes.
So we had this in Studio B.
Re-gifting my gift?
Yes. Indeed we are.
Beat Boise State. So we want you to have that.
You need to hang that in
if
your
you
office,
want.
man.
Yeah.
So I have another one, beat Utah State, and I was going to bring that today and give it to you. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I was
We
trying
don't
to,
want it.
So
keep both.
I told you the story of this last time I was on the show, right?
Remind us.
The editing department from BYU is amazing.
Yes, Dave Roberg and company.
Yeah, when I did this pose, I think there was a little extracurricular happening in my nostril, and it has been removed.
A few bats in the cave?
So, yeah, a few bats in the cave, so that's great. Yeah, I remember the unedited photo got released, and someone said, hey, is that, you know, and so they edited it out, so credit.
Well done.
Yeah, making me look good.
Well done. Jaron Wilkie, BYU Photo, those guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
hey,
it's Dave Roberg
and Dave Roberg.
Homies. Yeah, they're the Photoshoppers.
That's right. I'm glad you brought up Utah State and Boise State because those rivalries are essentially going away for a while with BYU going to the Big 12. So
Boise State's going away. Utah State, we hope, comes back.
Added emphasis in winning these games. So, like, there's meaning to those posters. Beat Utah State, beat Boise State. That needs to happen for BYU this year based on those games. Who knows when they're coming back?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Boise State, that's the one that got away last year. Absolutely. So we gotta get the monkey off the back again and go into the Big 12 with momentum.
Okay, let's talk about specialists, obviously, while you're here. So Jake Oldroyd's on the Lou Groza, natural fit, amazing. Ryan Rehkow, this guy on my shirt, Ray Guy. BYU's lucky to have this pair and for a third straight year. I think after this year, this might be it.
Yeah.
These guys are too good.
Yeah.
Tell us what makes them so good.
Yeah, so first of all, credit to them for making the list. The list doesn't mean a lot because there's most of the guys on the list, right?
Did you
that
make
are
the
returning.
list?
I made the list. That's how much it doesn't
Ray
mean
Guy.
anything because I made the list. Yeah. But Jake obviously has been a finalist for the Groza a couple years ago, so expecting him to get back there.
That's the real list.
And yeah, that's the real list,
Yes.
the semifinal and the finalist list. But those guys should definitely at least be semifinalists, but they have the ability to win the trophies, and that would be pretty cool to put a few more trophies in the locker room.
And Ryan doesn't make the finalists and semifinalists because BYU's offense is too good.
Yeah, that's a shame.
No, literally.
That's a
They are
shame.
not punting enough, which is a good problem.
Well, it depends.
In your opinion. You're the only, No, but seriously, the last 2 years when BYU punts, it is a different level of engagement now. Because we can see Ryan Rehkow just go off.
Yeah.
Like, he came to BYU and was super athletic. He was asked if he wanted to be a defensive lineman or even a tight end, and he said, no, I want to be an NFL punter. What makes him a great punter?
Well, I mean, first of all, his brother Austin, he played at Idaho. He was a finalist for the Ray Guy. He should have actually won it in 2014.
As an FCS guy.
Yeah, but that's probably the reason he didn't win it because he played for Idaho. And then he was a semifinalist for the Groza in 2016.
Amazing.
So it's just the family genes, right? And so growing up with a close brother like Austin, Ryan's been pushed, and they're just phenomenal athletes, and he has the build. But, I mean, Ryan's just different. You hear the boom, you see the technique, everything's perfect. So he's got all the skills in the world to be the NFL punter for sure. And I'm expecting him to go after this year, so hopefully we get to see him show out.
How about the long of 83 yards, which is wild.
The BYU record.
Averaged almost 50 yards per punt, but again, didn't hit the number of punts required to qualify.
40 is not enough to qualify in a lot of the stats, which is crazy.
He's a special player, no question about it.
He's the best player on the team, Spence.
I've
been saying that last 2 years.
Agreed.
Like, he's the best player. At what he does, he is the best.
You said it last year with Tyler Algier, too.
I still agree with myself.
Okay. Well, one's in the NFL and got drafted in the 5th round. We'll see what Ryan Rehkow does. Okay.
Yes, the punter is not going to be drafted in the same. Ryan Rehkow. Will Ryan Rehkow have a longer career than Tyler Algier in the NFL?
I don't know.
Ryan will go 5th round. Ryan will go 5th round.
5th round. You think he'll equal Tyler in the 5th round?
He has the absolute potential to be the first punter off the board. Last year, everyone was hyping up the San Diego State guy. He's great, and he had phenomenal stats, deserving Ray Guy winner. He doesn't hit the ball as high as some of these other guys like Ryan and then Jordan Stout, who was the first punter off the board last year. So the scouts are going to come here and see him put up 5.5-second hang time and break the roof in the IPF. They're going to move him outside, and I haven't seen people hit the ball as consistently like Ryan. So he's going to be one of the first.
Johnny, you need to be ESPN's punter insider at the NFL draft, right?
He's our
not to mention ours.
Guy. Hey, we were going to ask Dennis Pitta, but he's not coaching special teams anymore.
Not yet.
We've got Johnny.
Okay, Johnny, I want to talk about the tandem of Jake Oldroyd and Ryan Rehkow. We did some homework. Our student staff went to work and they looked at the watch list, and there are only 8 schools that have both a kicker and a punter on these respective lists. BYU is obviously one of those. Does BYU have the best kicker-punter combo in the country? I mean, who's there with them?
Well, my unbiased opinion, yes.
I think, as you wear a BYU shirt.
Is Texas Tech on that list as well? Because my friend, he's the punter at Texas Tech.
No.
Texas Tech is not on the list.
I think their kicker must have. He left last year.
Louisiana Tech, Miami, Tulsa, Arkansas, Arizona, Michigan, UTSA, and BYU.
Having the
Miami's
returner
pretty
matters.
Good. Miami's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
Miami might be there, but BYU. I know Jake's mindset, mentality. He showed it the very first time he stepped on the field against Arizona 25 years ago, right? And then Ryan's just phenomenal. I hope we get to see what he can do, because people just think he can boom it. But this kid, he can pooch it, he can do everything, and he holds for Jake as well. So just that relationship that they have is second to none.
And had a fake punt up by a lot of points in 2020.
Yeah, that embarrassed me. I was like, that was my moment.
That's what it was supposed to look like.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Okay, so Jake's thing has been chronicled. Obviously, 2019, some struggles there, and he talked about it in his Deep Blue, right? But hopefully he's healthy, because he's got an issue with his back. Obviously, that's a huge deal for any football player, but especially a kicker. When he's healthy, he's money.
Yeah.
So the hope is he's healthy going into the season, because I believe, and I think we all do, a lot of the success of Utah over the years in the Pac-12 getting better is that they had elite kickers and punters, field position, you win close games with a field goal here or there. BYU has those guys for some of these big games this year with Notre Dame and Arkansas and Baylor and Oregon and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think against those types of teams, you're going to see the specialist impact more, because it's going to be closer games and points are going to matter, and field position is going to come into play more than it has in the past. And that's why Ryan's sat on the bench a lot, because they haven't needed to use him. But Jake, when he's healthy, he's money, and he doesn't need to kick the ball hard. He just gets that pop off his foot, and it flies. And so, but the back's such a confusing thing. You don't know when it's going to go. You don't know what's going to tweak it. When he did his knee the first time, when I was going into my redshirt junior year, and he was coming in as a freshman, he was just stretching and his knee cracked. So it's like,
was that 2016? That was 2016. UCLA.
So that was actually in fall camp. So no one, even the coaches barely knew who he was, because he couldn't do fall camp after sitting that out.
Right.
So then he came back and did that. But with his back, you could just be walking or bend over to pick up something and tweak it. So hopefully he's figured it out. I know he does a lot of rehab, a lot of work to get it right. And so I really hope we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Johnny Linehan, one of the great specialists at BYU. Thanks for hanging out in Studio C, man, for the insight into maybe the best tandem in college football.
Hey, yeah, these guys, so much greater than I am. And I just want to give a shout out, Carter. I know you're watching, my 5-year-old.
Yes.
He's going to be on BYU one day. He's a big kicker. He might be on the basketball team. And JJ, she's watching My Little Pony. But got to give those guys a shout out. They're my squad. Love
Carter, named after Dan Carter, the great Kiwi rugby.
Yeah, and JJ, Jordan, Michael Jordan.
There you go.
We're a sports family, baby.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
Coming up, today's Rise and Shout Out to the best BYU football player on the team.
Plus, our elite voice of the day. Is it more about the channel your team is on or the money involved? This is BYU Sports Nation.
Lead voice to stay. Still fly.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
As we've spent time working with so many groups around the world, we've learned a lot.
I have really learned the importance of gratitude.
Learning how to help other people that are in different situations.
To be proud of my work, my contribution.
How cold the Alaskan winters can be.
What to order in a taqueria.
The power of cooperation.
My late father would say, a job well done.
One of the greatest skills I've learned on the road is how to work with bamboo.
African electrical systems.
Well, I've learned that Kieran actually loves concrete.
Quiet dignity.
Faith through adversity.
We got it!
But above all,
we've learned the world is a family.
And fixing someone else's problems
ends up fixing my own.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
You demand it, we give it. The show's on demand via the free BYU TV and BYU radio app. To download the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review.
Our question of the day, what's more important to you? The channels that you can watch your favorite college football teams on, or the money involved with the deal that has those television rights, and why? Our elite voice of the day, presented by Sundance Mountain Resort, comes in from Jim Roberts, MN, on the Twitter machine. He says, quote, "Show me the money."
Nice.
There will always be ways to watch your team play unless you're depending on the Pac-12 network. Too soon, he asks?
Now that BYU's in the Big 12, we just launched grenades.
Oh, we were launching grenades on the Pac-12 network and Independence.
Yeah. We need to be careful, though. We're not at HD in every system either.
Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. You said you were given to the best BYU football player, so is that Jaron Hall?
It's Ryan Rehkow. Oh. Ryan Rehkow is incredible and underappreciated, and he's a player too.
The best BYU football player is still at his position?
Yeah.
Still. Better than the quarterback Jaron Hall, better than the offensive lineman.
Yep. It's better than Blake Freeland.
And Clark Barrington?
Combined.
Wow. Wow.
No, it's.
I love Ryan.
Yeah. No, he's awesome, man. It's fun to have a lot of great players. You guys got a lot of great players on this team.
And with great players come great expectations.
Great responsibility.
Our thanks to today's guests, Craig Bolerjack and Johnny Linehan.
Sorry to Dennis. You know special teams, but not as much as John.
Conversation continues 24/7 on the Facebook, the Instagram, and the Twitter. Hashtag BYUSN. For Jarom, I'm Spencer. Shout out to Brad Hunter, the punter.
Nice.
See you tomorrow back here in Studio C.
Ryan's.